got a new tradition to establish tonight, recognizing 3 individuals relatively early in their career who were part of the Alfred family. For the inspiration they've given us. First one is a 2-time graduate who nowadays lives in the Bay Area, flew in with his new bride, Ellie. He still remembers the rents he paid on Main Street, how low they were relative to nowadays in California. He will say, because of faculty members like Frechette and Pai, he learned here how to solve practically any problem in the world. A Midwesterner who was raised in Ohio, came to us almost by accident. We'd still listed a glass art program, and he followed this Barons, took his car. The program had been terminated, but somebody in the School of Art and Design had the wisdom to say, go up to the engineering school, they still have something in glass. And the faculty there they saw the real potential in him. What he's done is figured out a way to correct for color blindness. 300 million people in the world suffer from it, 7% of men, 1% of women. A little bit by accident, he was working on glasses for surgeons, and he noticed himself he could see better, and the surgeons were swiping these glasses. And then once went to an ultimate frisbee game, and a friend put on these glasses pretty much almost by accident. And according to Don, the exact words were from the friend, "Dude, I can see the cones." He'd never seen the color orange for the bright orange cones that you use in ultimate frisbee. So Don, we'd like to recognize one of the themes that emerges in our culture is impact. And what better way to demonstrate impact than what you've done? So. First is cue the video and then have Don offer some remarks.
Oh my God! Holy sh! These people have just seen color for the first time.
Is it working? Oh my God, it's proper red.
1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women have some form of color blindness. Instead of the world looking like this, it appears to look more like this. But one Berkeley-based company created a pair of glasses that can change that.
When I hand a pair of glasses to someone who's color deficient and they put them on and their mouth opens up and they just can barely speak for a minute.
That is purple.
What? That is the most beautiful thing ever. This is my new favorite flower.
I get goosebumps, and that's the thrill for me, and it gets me back in the lab.
Don McPherson is a glass scientist. About a decade ago, he was making protective glasses for laser surgery when he made a surprising discovery.
I found out that surgeons were stealing the glasses and using the sunglasses, and I was like, that could be pretty cool. And one of the things I noticed immediately is they made the world look very colorful, saturated. I was playing at an ultimate frisbee tournament and my friend borrowed my glasses and said, this is a quote, he said, "Dude, I can see the cones." And he was referring to the fluorescent orange cones that define the field. And I'm thinking, those are really bright. How could you not see that?
In fact, confusing red and green tones is one of the most common types of color blindness. Don McPherson had a new mission. And after years of research, he launched Enchroma. They make sunglasses and indoor lenses that help people see color.
If you are color deficient, you might confuse that with that. At the same time, you might confuse that with that. Our glasses create a separation between photopigments simply by blocking certain wavelengths of light that would be the most confused wavelengths for somebody who's color deficient.
Enchroma has sold 30,000 glasses around the world.
Pinks are a lot more vibrant. I thought those were an off-white before.
Farnscher Swallow is one of their customers.
So when I first put on the Achroma glasses, it was kind of a funny sensation that hit me almost instantly. It was kind of like the world gained an extra layer of vibrancy. Greens and reds just suddenly popped.
So I can see the green and the red.
Okay, because you normally would not be able to see that.
Holy wow. Okay, that actually makes a big difference.
On YouTube, there are countless viral videos of people trying on Achroma glasses, many of them having an emotional reaction.
Red is definitely my new favorite color.
But the lenses only work for about 80% of people who try them. The other 20%?
There's nothing that can be done to help him currently.
But he is working on it. And Chroma's also developing contact lenses. But first, they need to get more eye doctors on board.
A lot of ODs have been trained that there's nothing you can do to help someone who's color deficient. But once they get a lot of feedback from patients and from other doctors, there's been a shift. I mean, the proof is the 30,000 people who have worn our product and love it.
I think that's the most important part, understanding what you were missing before. My favorite color used to be blue. Now it's red. Without a doubt, it is red. Red is just such an intense and wonderful color.
Hey, CNBC fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel.
I've never seen that. And the reason I've never seen it is I am working pretty much nonstop. I'm very focused on lots of parts of that problem. I'll give you an example. Okay, first of all, I learned so much at Alfred, but there's just things that you can't learn in graduate school or undergraduate school. You have to go out in the real world and get a handle on them. And for me, like Mark said, and as was mentioned in that video, I stumbled upon this. I don't have a background in vision science, and it's shockingly complex. Anytime you have psychophysics involved where somebody is perceiving something and then they have to tell you what they're perceiving, it's a can of worms, because it could be culturally influenced, it could be influenced by the test itself, and so there's this whole movement to isolate. So, for instance, in color vision testing, you do the standard thing called the hue discrimination test, where you have to arrange 15 colored objects in a row. And you do it in such an isolated way that someone who's color deficient makes a jumble of it. And someone who is color normal does it without thinking. And what we found is that people who were color deficient but wearing our glasses could arrange it, but they would say things like, there's so much more information. And that made me start thinking like, well, maybe we shouldn't be isolating it. Maybe the whole thing is you want to be able to use all of your faculties to analyze it. So right now I'm developing test methodology that looks at the problem sort of backwards. Instead of saying, well, what color do you see? It's what color do you see after I take the color away? And as far as I can tell, no one's ever done this. I mean, it's called the after image. But if you search after image color blindness, there's nothing. Now, how did I learn to think like that? Here, exactly in this school. I came in, as Mark said, blown in like a leaf. I came here to do art. That's what my undergraduate degree was, in art and math. And I got in, no one would let me in today. I wouldn't get past the security cameras, but I got in, and thank God, because between Dave Pye and Dr. Pichette and the world-class teachers here, I learned how to solve problems. Like, no one ever said to me, that's not a good idea. They said, well, what if you looked at it like this? I understand where you're going with that. And in other words, they cultivated my mind to think about how does one solve a problem and what do you want out of it? Because, we're all children when we come into school, and we think, oh, well, I have an idea. That's great. But you have to, it has to be an idea that leads to something practical or explains something that's previously unresolved. And that has been my mission in my academic career and then afterwards in several businesses, is be careful if you tell me something can't be done. Seriously, I've started 3 businesses because of this. And I almost want to run out of the room when someone says, well, you can't do that. Like, you can't mix glass and cement because of this reaction. And I'm like, oh? And then I figure it out. You know, this is called the alkali-silic reaction. But anyway, I would actually, because Mark already explained how I got here, kind of move ahead and just say, it's almost hard for me to even imagine that I spent 8 years here, but I did. It's like being a Zen monk. You come into this place, and there's literally, what do you do besides research? I mean, I mountain biked. I broke my arm diving into a snowbank trying to catch a frisbee. There was a rock in it. Went to Toronto to see jazz, went to New York City, ran out of money, lived cheaply in Alfred, lived on a brick house up on a hill and had drunk hunters show up at 4 in the afternoon demanding a ride back to their kill. You know, just like strange. This is Alfred, you know. And when I asked Ellie, my wife, to come here with me, I had to say, oh, it's wonderful. Right? You just gotta like filter out all that. You just remember these like wonderful people, super talented professors that, because they're not having to hand off the teaching assignments to a graduate student, they go grandma. They go down into it. Like, how did I know that fixed diffusion was going to be key to the success of me making these products? But I make all these eyewear by diffusion. No one else makes eyewear by diffusion, and Chroma makes it by diffusion. I figured it out. Something weird happened in the lab, and I noticed it, and I followed it. And all of our product now is made by Vicky and diffusion. I'm like, when I figured it out, I was like, oh my God, Vicky and diffusion. Dr. Varner, that's where I learned that, right? And I was so proud. Like, it's another thing I learned at Alfred came to be of extreme importance to me. So I want to show you this little video here that's a lot different than the first one.
Oh my God! I can't even imagine how different the world looks, I swear to God.
Wow, that is amazing.
There's so much information that's conveyed with color. You're eating food, you're cooking food, you're out for a walk in nature.
Really what it comes down to is the accessibility of information, of experiences that colorblind people have been missing out on.
In a professional or academic setting, you can't follow the information because it's color-coded. If you're traveling at 60 miles an hour on the highway, brake light comes on, you don't see it. But also, there's traffic lights. I mean, you just can't tell the difference.
When somebody puts these glasses on, they suddenly experience colors as being much more vivid.
This pink, like this.
Wow. I'm actually crying.
Chroma's glasses contain a special proprietary material that absorbs specific wavelengths of light. People write to us and they tell us they feel like they finally understand color.
In Chroma, you got a 280-pound man to cry. That is amazing. I got to see my first sunrise.
We need to get this to every colorblind child in the world so that they can have a better educational experience, to see something that we've created go out into the world and have such a big impact. It's really amazing.
This is unreal. Those are like really strong.
I feel like I've been seeing hazy my whole life. It's so beautiful.
there's lots of parts of this that I still haven't unraveled, like how someone who's never seen color in their life can bend over and look at a flower and say, is that orange? Is that lavender? How do they even know the word lavender? Because lavender is a mixture of blue and red. And if they can't see red, it's puzzling to me, but there's some really deep stuff here. The other part of it is, this is an educational institution. We're all about lifting up people. New York, California, both test for color deficiency, but only 11 states. 11 states in this wonderful country of ours test for color deficiency at the primary school level. Well, what happens to those other 39 states? What even happens in the 11 states is rather tragic. These students, I mean, you have to kind of like take yourself back in your mind. When you were a child, would you go, I'm colorblind? No, you wouldn't. You keep it to yourself, and you would struggle, and you would try really hard to figure out what's going on. But there was a study done of in some library journal that I read, and also work from the Helen Keller Eye Center in Alabama, which has shown that these students, in some cases, get moved into special ed programs. I mean, they're Newtons, they're Einsteins. They're born with one tiny little anomaly in their eye. There's nothing wrong with the wiring, there's nothing wrong with their neural mechanisms, they're just sitting there waiting to fire. And so part of what I've been working on lately is I've been thought about this deep and hard. Like, you can't have a bunch of 7-year-olds walking around with big, thick, Cary Grant Wayfarer glasses on. They'll be picked on. So I've been working on contact lens, making a contact lens, and I've just recently completed it, and we're going to submit it to FDA for approval. It's about a 2-year process, but we have to be able to do something with this. This is a tragedy in this country that we haven't addressed this. And this is the tip of the iceberg. There's many things like that we could step up and address. I happen to know about this one, so I'm going to make it my mission, if I do nothing else, to make sure that every school has access to these. And like I mentioned earlier, I do this by diffusion. So basically making a sort of a complex tank full of different tints. These are very unusual dyes. They're not something you can go and buy off the shelf. But we make up these dyes, we put them in. Now, we can make 1,000 pair a day of eyewear, of lens blanks. With contact lenses, we can do 10 million a day, right? Because they're tiny. And you just basically put them in a fluid dyes bed, and then you pull them out at the right time, and you're done. So there's nothing stopping us. There's no technological barrier. It's just like a will and interest. And it's part of why I'm here, to make that appeal to people. And I'm not saying that anyone here will step up and do it, but we have to make this a priority. I can't, you've seen how people who are color deficient see the world. And just imagine being in a classroom and not being able to follow along with the instructions, but you really, really, really want to, and just a simple little thing could shift it. If I could do this one thing, I'd be a very, very happy man, happier than I am now. Anyways, I wanted to again thank the university for this. This is a great honor. I actually don't have an office, so I don't really have any place to hang this thing. And because I live in the Bay Area, Ellie and I don't have a house. So, I don't know, would this look good in an Airstream? I don't know.
And it's going to come with an oil lamp. I'm serious, with the etched Fiat Lux in addition to the plaque, so for the Airstream. And you think about it, remember the Buffalo Bills when they went to play the game in London? And they were, what was it, orange and green were the colors? And the NFL ran into that trouble because colorblind people are having a hard time telling who was playing who. And then also I was on a board at Rochester, the world's largest wine company, and the maker and producer of Modelo products in the US, Constellation brands. And one of the challenges we had as board members was that the CEO would show up at shareholders meetings attired in these weird ways. Colors wouldn't match. And it took several meetings to actually coach him when we found out this guy's colorblind, as is his brother, who is the former CEO and chair of the board. So now Robin Richard Sands have Enchroma glasses and are seeing the world in a different light, dressing better for shareholders meetings. But Don and Ellie also have some great Constellation brands wine. So we keep doing this proud. And since Don opened up the door, I've heard that there's no way our endowment can get to $1 billion, Don. So anyway, can't be done. After you're done with the contact lenses, do that first. But after that, that's the next challenge. Our second honoree, the second theme that comes up in our culture is strength through diversity. And it's hardwired from the get-go. We were the first university in the country to admit women on an equal basis. Oberlin beat us to the punch, but you had to study home economics. First place for women, where a woman got an honorary degree. And the diversity of programs, where people come from, thought processes, that ultimately, if united to a common task, the wonderful results that occur from that. And you think about the different universities, we've seen the challenges if you just focus on the differences and balkanize some of the challenges. Universities can be wonderful laboratories to teach understanding of others, but you have to provide experiences that unite people along a common task. And one of those individuals that's pointed us in that direction is Kristin Beck. She graduated class of '89 as Kristin Beck, and then served our country with distinction as a Navy SEAL, toughest of the tough, both throughout the Mideast, has advised the Joint Chiefs of Staff on many high-level programs and ideas, and learned there especially how diversity of thought matters. You get better decisions. Raised a family, and then in 2013 decided, like Kayla Jenner, that she identified more as being a woman, and became a Kristin Beck. And we've got a video that features her as well. The encouragement she's given us, we've got such rich diversity here, such a rich tradition. How can we harness that for even greater benefit for the university? Don was challenged by work. Kristin is doing a major film documentary right now in her life. Just a few days ago, got an email though saying may not be able to be there, that this dump truck going ran a stoplight, ran into her, a back injury. So talk about the toughest of the tough, not only the surviving the SEALs, a little bit of meds helped, her dad driving her, but let's roll the film on Kristin Beck.
The new CNN film, Lady Valor, it airs tonight. It looks at the life of a former SEAL Team 6 member with quite a shocking secret. After retiring after 20 years of active duty service and 13, count them, 13 deployments as a Navy SEAL, Christopher Beck made the brave decision to transition to a woman. The film looks at Beck's journey and his new start as Kristin. Kristin Beck joins me now from Atlanta. Kristin, how was it, first of all, to see your life in film, especially your story?
Good morning, Michaela. It was difficult. It was quite a journey, and we're still working on that journey. And I think everyone in life, continue the journey and just work as hard as you can and do the best you can. I've always been trying to do my best.
Brave of you to tell about this journey, because I know it has been very difficult. I want to go back to the fact that a SEAL Team 6, 13 deployments, this is a masculine warrior environment. There is some irony there. What were you driven to or drawn to about a life as a Navy SEAL?
As a Navy SEALs, it's as tough as the tough, but it's also the defenders of America, just like a lot of people in the military. And it was just doing the best I could, and the best I could was the Navy SEALs.
You said you were happiest when you were deployed. Explain that to us.
Well, I was happiest as I was deployed because I was over there, with my teammates, and we lose a lot of guys in combat. I lost a lot of guys along the way, and every time you leave, you still feel remorse. You want to get back over there, protecting your comrades in arms and doing the fight, fighting for liberty and justice.
But I get a sense too, Kristin, that 13 deployments, you went above and beyond. Do you think that it was drowning out some of the noise in your own head?
Yes, definitely drowning out some of the noise. I think that a lot of guys come back, PTSD and everything else, and it's difficult reasserting yourself into civilian society after the rigors of combat. The war is something that no one should ever have to endure, but it's something that we're stuck with as human beings, and I don't know why. It'd be nice to get rid of it, but we have it, and when you come back, it's difficult. And I also had my difficulties because of my extra journey.
Right.
So we're working on it.
Well, absolutely. We all are, Kristin. And you speak about PTSD, and there are going to be people, and I'm sure you've had your share of critics, and I know you've shared about the fact that you've had your share of hate mail, et cetera, that are going to just say, oh, this is some sort of PTSD reaction. But this isn't. This has been a journey for you for many years.
For my entire life. It's a non-ending journey. We're born to where we are. People say this is the wrong body. This is not the wrong body. This is not my wrong life. This is the life I was given. These are the troubles and the lessons I need to learn to become a better person, to maybe become a better spirit or a soul or whatever you want to call it. But this journey was given to me, and I'm going to take it on board and do the best I can.
Good for you. You've got family and friends around you, and we also know that as you go through your journey, it's one thing, but it's also a journey for them, and they have to come at it in their own time and process. And even in the film, a very dear friend of yours talks about you with such emotion and so glad that you're home and safe, but in that emotion refers to you as a he.
Yes, it happens. I mean, people knew me as Christopher for 40-something years, and it's a little difficult for them sometimes, and sometimes they just slip up. But you have to let people grow with it also. So it's a journey that I've had my entire life, but maybe some folks only get to be part of this journey right now. So it's brand new for them. So give them a chance. They're going to figure it out. You know when people are being disrespectful, and you know when people just make a mistake. You make a mistake, I'm going to give you some time to forgive you, and I'm going to let you know, hey, this right here, this is me. This is Kristin Beck. And then we can go on from there.
We can go on from there.
Yeah.
And your family, how has that been?
It's still it's a work in progress, but isn't every family?
Every family?
Growing up and living with my father, football coach, my mother was a school teacher, and holy cow, the ruler would come out sometimes. And but everybody has families, and we have difficulties, but you can never really hate them. Sometimes I don't like them, but it's there's always going to be that love and that support behind the scenes, and a little scolding here and there along the way.
They're the ones that keep us honest, right?
They have to be there.
Let me ask you, when you see the images of Christopher and you think about the 13 deployments, the brotherhood, the service, the challenges, I mean, you are the baddest of the bad. SEAL Team 6. What does it feel like inside? I know you're fiercely proud, and in fact, you're still working as a consultant and a contractor with aspects of the military. What does it feel like when you see Christopher now?
That's me. So the person you see on there with the big beard and everything else, that is me right there, and this is me right now that you're sitting, seeing right now. I can never deny that. That's, like I said, that's part of my journey. I had to go through all of that to get where I am today. I'm not going to hang this up on the streamline. I wish I could. Can't afford one of those. I'm just kidding. So I live on a farm now. I have a wife, And we raise cattle, and I've got some horses. I'd like to talk to you about your quarter horses later. But I'm doing pretty good right now. But there were a lot of times when I really wasn't. There was a lot of times when the journey's difficult, and we all have those times. Then when you have that hope or that dream that you kind of see things happening, kind of gives you that motivation that, yeah, I can make this happen, I can do it. So you always need to have that picture or that thought in your head saying that I can get there. I've seen somebody else do it, and they've had a lot worse stuff going on than I do. I can make it. And that's a lot of things that a lot of people just don't have in their lives. You know, that's something that I just try constantly to try to give people and try to give, especially the younger generation, these kids. There's a lot of struggle out there. There's a lot of things that people are trying to overcome all around the world. And I go around to universities and high schools or wherever I can, just giving motivation talks. Let them know that no matter how different you think you are, not really that different. It's not really that big of a deal. What you're seeing right now, get through it, because you're going to have some pretty awesome stuff going on here down the road. So I give a lot of talks all around the country, and I really think that we need more of those kind of examples. Dr. William DeBrow, I wish he was here, I haven't seen him. But he was one of my professors here at Alfred. Pretty amazing stuff that I learned from him. I learned about how to think way outside that box, to throw that box away and really challenge yourself. That's one of my fond memories of Alfred, was kind of learning how to think and learning how to really push the envelope. And I kept that throughout SEAL teams. I graduated top of my class through the SEAL team training. Then I went on to the top SEAL teams and did really good. But I was always different. I always had this. And I remember going in one time into one of those missions. I was at the top team. We only went after the big bad guys. We were going in after this big drug kingpin. They used to grow their marijuana plants that were like 15, 20 feet tall and poppy fields that you just look and see them for miles. They were running the war on a lot of this illicit trade. He was one of the bad guys. We were going in after him. So I kicking the door in. 4 of us going into the room to get him, and it was one of the last rooms. Stuff was already blowing up and stuff was going on all over the place. So that's real fast. So he's still kind of getting up out of the bed. As everything's going on, we're kicking the door in. And I'm in that room. He's getting up and he's going in to get his guns. His wife is jumping down on the ground and she's down on the ground. These rooms are small over there. So it's just like from here to barely out there. So his wife is on the ground screaming. In the middle of that room is a little baby's crib. And up in that crib is this little baby grabbing the side of it and screaming, the mom's screaming. He's getting his gun. Stuff is blowing up, stuff is going on. Another guy starts coming in another one of their doors. So as all is going on, I put my gun on the side, and I go into the middle of that room and I grab that baby. And I hold on to the baby and I put my back up against all the bad stuff going on, trying to get that kid out of there. And I leave the room, and everything else happens. And I finally get the mom and the kid rejoined. And just that kid was all that was on my mind, was all I could do. Where did that come from? I don't know. But the impact that I had, that I don't know where that kid is right now, I don't know what's going on, but that kind of an impact on that kid, pulling it out of that situation, and the kid's alive right now. Who knows what kind of impact you have on somebody you're walking by on the street, that you give them a smile. Can you imagine seeing some teenage kid, some kid growing up like me, that's transgender or gay, or an African American kid walking through some town where they're looking at him, or it could be whatever the difference is, somebody who's colorblind and everything just looks, all the stuff that's wrong that you think is wrong in your life, what's going on in that person's head, and all you do is just give them a smile or say something to them. Might be saving that person's life. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine looking in a mirror every day and seeing in the mirror what I used to see? And nothing matched up and it was all wrong, and you're punching the mirrors going, as a little kid growing up. And I'm just walking down the street and somebody gives me that motivation. Somebody gives me that smile. Maybe it saved my life. For the teenagers like me, transgender, the suicide rate is 41%. Can you imagine that? Those kids walking around and seeing themselves as totally wrong and everything's bad. And you give them a smile or you give them a little word of encouragement, you save their life. The impact that each one of us can have on every other person you run into every day of your life can be significant if you make that effort, if you try. So I just try to just say that I've been fighting through a lot of things. There's some adversity, and I've gone through a lot in my life. But the greatest thing I could ever do is just always try to be positive and always try to lift other people up and always try to set an example. And always just try to help somebody else. Help as many people as I can. Give them that smile. Give them that handshake. Do whatever I can. Our impact in this life can be significant if you try. That's all I ask. Can every one of us try? Be a wonderful world, wouldn't it? So I'm gonna keep trying. I'm gonna keep fighting. I won't stop. I'm gonna keep talking and trying to spread the story, and I wanna hear more stories. Like Julio's story is amazing. I met a general earlier who probably has some pretty amazing stories. I wanna hear those. But keep on trying. Your impact can be amazing. So keep on going and fight the good fight and be good. Smile once in a while really goes a long ways. So thank you very much for this, Alfred. It's gonna hang up close to all my other awards and Bronze Stars and all that stuff. Because this is pretty awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Kristin's written a book about her journey, now running for the second time for Congress from the state of Maryland, major documentary work. Thank you for being with us, notwithstanding the most recent challenge. Our last honoree is not yet an alum, but he will get there. And at our home football game, this story played out and knew a little bit about it going into it, but didn't really appreciate what we witnessed that day. Julio Fuentes was a star running back on our team, and at the opening game 10 years ago, had a collision, ran into an opposing player on a run back, was told he'd never walk again. His commitment was that he would walk off Merrill Field. And so let's cue the video on this.
From the Williams Honda Sports Desk.
Imagine having everything and in just seconds losing it all. Last month, former Alfred football player Julio Fuentes proved that dreams do come true. After being paralyzed, Fuentes is fighting every day, fighting to walk again.
Day in and day out, you just work hard. And your size is all you know, you know? You can't really do nothing about it.
All his life, Julio Fuentes has fought the odds. At just over 5'6", he played football undersized. But his passion took him to Alfred University. 10 years ago, the game changed his life forever. On a routine kick return, Fuentes took a hit to his neck. In a split second, from the chest down, he was paralyzed.
When I first got hit, me and the other kid collided, I knew I was paralyzed. When I tried to get up, I just heard a sound I've never heard before.
Through prayer and hope, Julio's road back began.
He was the toughest kid that I've ever had an opportunity to coach, and he had a huge heart. But if you knew Julio the same way that I do, there's no limitations for him.
I had to learn how to breathe again. I had to learn how to eat again. And you just shelter yourself. I sheltered myself for the longest time.
For 10 years, Fuentes has fought, endured, and set his goal on one thing: walking again.
Looking adversity in the face and just overcoming it. I have never seen somebody fight so much for something they want.
I myself was inspired. I knew that he had the potential to do the things that he is now doing.
Last month, on the same field he was paralyzed, Fuentes did the impossible. For the first time in In 10 years, Fuentes walked off the field to the roar of the crowd.
To hear the support of everybody and people rallying behind me, it really means a lot that I'm actually accomplishing something.
People could tell Julio that he was never going to walk again. That didn't matter. He told me at his hospital 10 years ago that he was going to walk again, that he was going to walk off our football field, and he did it.
Now the smallest man on the field is the biggest of them all.
Get the opportunity to walk off the field, it was probably his greatest accomplishment, something that he should be very proud of.
It's a great thing to see that nothing is impossible.
For Julio, it's 1 yard.
Every time I'm trying to walk,
1 step.
I just remember to stay strong and keep going forward.
1 heart.
Julio, 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 Julio.
All right, guys, stay.
Our board has unanimously agreed to offer Julio a scholarship because his ultimate dream is to finish his degree at Alfred and then pursue a career in counseling, helping individuals that have faced similar challenges as he had. And what we missed on the tail end of that video was the same day he walked off the field, he also proposed to his girlfriend, Heather.
I just want to say thank you, President Zupan, for this award. It's truly an honor. The 2 individuals in front of me, you guys are doing some truly amazing stuff. I'm just happy to be here and be a part of this event tonight. I don't think I would be here without the support of others. My family, my fiance, my beautiful fiance, they've helped me through the process. I mean, I've been through a lot in my life as far as from when I've been paralyzed. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life at that time while I was here at Alfred. But like, her posting my videos and the positive feedback I've gotten from those videos has really put a perspective on my life and why I think I got hurt is to help others that have been hurt like I have. So the scholarship that they offered me, I'm going to take full advantage of and try to help. President Zupan, I haven't known you from like a short bit of time, but you've truly made an impact on my life, and I know you'll do the same for Alfred, so I just wish you the best in your presidency. Thank you, guys.
This third theme that keeps coming up is a caring community, and Julio's a wonderful testament to the journey he's been on, and teammates, brother, family, rehabilitation staff. And these 3 themes, how aptly from our second president, Jonathan Allen, and his wife Abigail, we got a Fiat Lux. And think about what that represents and how fitting it is with the Fiat Lux Awards, how light has an impact. Light warms like a caring community does, and light is composed of different underlying colors that have brought together for a common purpose, have a great impact on our society. We're deeply honored to have all 3 of you representing our university, the inspiration you've provided. Thank you for being with us tonight, notwithstanding the travel, dump truck, injury challenges. Keep doing us proud. Thank you all for being with us tonight. Have a good rest of the evening. We'll see you in the morning.